time for Daybreak Interactive. Time to get talking about the realities of everyday life in present day Nigeria. We've often talked about the impact of subsidy removal, the impact of inflation on goods and services. But one particular area that has consistently given millions of Nigerians cause to worry is in the healthcare sector, where the cost of medication has beyond ballooned since the removal of fuel subsidy in 2023. And listen, let's just get to the details of some of it, because according to some of the data that has been reported widely, Nigeria spends a whopping 1.3 trillion naira on medication annually, right? And that's a significant chunk of the country's resources. But even more alarming is the fact that average Nigerians spend at least around 10,000 to 20,000 naira per month on medication, and that figure itself is a rather modest estimate of the reality, because we've seen the cost of medication go up significantly, close to 200% on medication, and this particular challenge has continued to inundate many Nigerians, in fact pushing hundreds of millions of Nigerians into self-medication because they can no longer afford some of those medical services and the cost of their regular medication. So we're asking you to weigh in on this conversation. What is the cost of medication like in your area, and how big of a Herculean task is it for you to afford medication at this point in time? I'm just going to start on a personal note, because that partially informed the need for us to talk about this one. Last week, there was also this reporting that Nigerians are in fact paying heavily for self-medicating because they cannot afford to pay for hospital bills. They're now opting to just go to the chemist, buy whatever they think is going to solve their problem, and that, as it turns out, is only worsening the situation. And that means that we need to do something about medical services in this country. On a personal note, this past week has been quite telling, and it has never actually hit home to me, this particular expression, that in Nigeria today you're one medical emergency from bankruptcy. The fact that my daughter fell ill due to an infection, and in a space of 3 days, guess what? The hospital bill was 382,000. Granted, it wasn't a government hospital, but who treats an infection for 382,000? From the medication to the bed space and everything in the space of 3 days, that is a total sum. Now imagine if most Nigerians are put in this particular situation where their salaries cannot cover their medical bills. And besides, medical bill is one of so many other bills that you have to deal with on a day-to-day basis. What about food? What about education? What about all of these things? But we're sticking with the cost of healthcare services. So let's talk about it. The cost of medication, what is it like? Is it coming down? Is it still going up? Is it affordable? How difficult is it for you as a Nigerian to deal with the cost of medication at this point in time? Yes, we are seeing a slow and gradual decline in the price of petrol, for instance, which has been the key determinant of some of these factors. But when it comes to medication, there are a whole lot of variables that do not necessarily that are being tied to the cost of petrol, for instance. There are other variables to be factored in. The exchange rate is also one of them. But let's have an understanding of what it's like. What are you facing in terms of medical costs? Feel free to chime in on this conversation, because the reality is quite a disturbing one for most Nigerians. We're even talking about medical tourism and the likes. Even the rich cannot afford medication now. But we want to talk about the experiences of everyday average Nigerians when it comes to the cost of medication. So in your area, for instance, what are the hospitals charging you when it comes to providing medical services? How steep is the cost? How steep is the bill? And what is it like trying to access affordable healthcare, whether it's at the primary healthcare or at a secondary or tertiary government-owned healthcare services? You can even give us an instance with regards to your experiences with private healthcare facilities, and let's understand what the differences are in terms of the cost, because at the end of the day, it all boils down to affordable healthcare. If that is not guaranteed, well, you can only imagine how severe the situation is going to be. The numbers are showing on your TV screen. Feel free to use any of them. Give us a call. Remember the rules of engagement. Turn down the volume of your TV set when you call in. I believe we have our first caller on. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us. Who is on the line?
I'm Amina Saidu from Kaduna.
Amina Saidu, good morning to you. How is Kaduna this morning?
So, Alhamdulillah, not bad.
Good to hear that. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. You are doing a great work. I will keep praying for you. Keep the good work going.
Thank you very much.
The issue of medication, it's outrageous. We have to, in fact, I was in the hospital a few days ago. I had a kind of pain on my eyes and I have to go to the hospital for a checkup. Just to see the doctor. It was 5,000. In fact, at the end of the day, I spent as much as 10,000 without a Panadol given to me.
Right.
Every other thing, I have to do it myself. I spent 10,000 without not even a Panadol, a sachet of Panadol given to me from the hospital. And this has to do with so many other ailments. And you find that the cost of medication is putting people off hospital. And that's why we have so much illnesses these days that are beyond medication now, because as at the time they get to the hospital, it may be too late. These people keep away from the hospital because they can't afford it.
Yeah.
The bill in the hospital is just too much. It's too much. In fact, it's beyond the reach of the average Nigerian. There's nothing you do in the hospital now. Just seeing the doctor. It's a government hospital. I don't want to name the hospital, but it's a government hospital.
Right.
5,000 just for me to see the doctor. 5,000. At the end of the day, I left that hospital without a Panadol. I spent 10,000. You can imagine if I don't have that. I'll have to go back now and start looking for some herbs and some other things. And before you know, maybe it could worsen my situation.
Right.
See,
right.
I don't know what the government is doing. They have this NHIS that is more of a kind of hide and seek game. Because even with the NHIS, I see people complaining because there are so many other ailments that the NHIS is not taking care of.
Yeah.
And this means you have to do it from your pocket. The government have to look at the situation of the country, look at the situation of the masses and do something. This medication is very, very vital. And today, we have so much ailment because many people are hungry. People cannot afford what they used to eat again. And this has cost them so much, many people are going down because there's no food. There's nothing like how do you can't even talk of 1 meal a day. How do you talk of balanced diet? You just eat anything that will just fill the stomach, even when you know it has a side effect. But just because you just want to have something in your stomach, you go for it. Let the government help the masses. Let Nigerian government have pity on the masses. We are dying. People are dying. Medication is beyond the reach of the masses. I have somebody in the hospital that just gave birth. In fact, it was a cesarean. And she's still in the hospital. As at 2 days ago, we have over 200,000 bill. I don't know what we are going to pay today that will be going for her to be discharged. I don't know what we are going to pay. So if somebody that cannot afford this find his or herself in this situation, what do you expect? People are dying quietly, dying silently because they can't afford this. They can't eat. Medication is out of reach. Food is out of reach. The government should look at one thing. They should do something that at least let the masses say yes, at least they've done something. We are happy the government is listening to us. We are happy the government is doing something for us. People are dying. People are dying. Self-medication has become very important because you can't afford anything in the hospital. It's not the wish of the people that goes for self-medication, but at least it's that to reduce the pain, you say, okay, let me just go for what I can afford. Even in the hospital, when you get to some of this hospital, the doctors will tell you, can you afford this? This, if you go for this, it will be better. But if you can't afford this, go for this. That means there are medication for those that can afford the good one. Then you that cannot afford, they give you anyone. If you are lucky and it goes well with you, good. If it didn't go, then you go and die. It's most unfortunate that Nigeria is just upside down. This guy says Nigeria jaga jaga. I don't know. The word jaga jaga is even an understatement now for the situation we find ourselves in Nigeria.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Madam Amina. I appreciate you very much for your invaluable contribution. I couldn't help but nod along as she was making those points, and they're all very valid points around the rationalization of self-medication. Right? If you only have, say, for instance, 1,000 naira in your pocket, and you cannot afford, I mean, consultancy, 10,000 naira. No diagnosis, no medication, nothing. And we were talking about the average is significantly going up, right? And it's just ridiculous. It doesn't make sense that, people cannot even afford to take care of themselves when they're sick. And she talked about the ridiculous coverage of the NHIS, right? Where coverage itself is less than average, right? And then the service itself, it's less than satisfactory, and then there are a whole lot of issues attached to it. I was just telling you about what happened last week with my daughter. 382,000, no surgery, no major sort of procedure, and that is the cost of treating an infection. And she just talked about a cesarean section costing 200,000 plus. And these are some of the realities that Nigerians are dealing with, and many people are just taking the shortcut, and the shortcut itself is quite dangerous. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Who is on the line and where are you calling from, please?
My name is Ade, I'm calling from London.
Mr. Ade, good morning. How is London this morning?
Good. London is cool. We are expecting a very cold weather.
Yeah,
tonight.
I hear the weather is getting warmer a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. The warmer has ended. They have told us to expect a very, very cold weather tonight.
Right. Exactly. Talk to me about this issue, Ade, because I understand even in the UK they're dealing with, the NHIS issue and all of that. What do you make of our talking point today?
We don't have any problem with medical in UK because it's free. Once you are a resident or citizen, it's free because our national insurance take care of that. We should pay a peanut. So medical is free for us here. The only people that pay, if they prescribe a medication for you, go to the chemist. If you are a student, it's free. If you are 60 years above, it's free. But if you are working class, you pay. It's a small amount. So it's better. It's very good. They take care of you in the hospital without asking for anything. But about Nigeria one, I think I blame the system. Because in those days, general hospital is free in Nigeria. In those days, you don't pay nothing. You go there, you get. But today, because there are not enough supervision, even the Minister of Health was on TV recently celebrating that he has established 774 health center in everywhere. Then we don't see anything on ground. So what the people should do is that go and demonstrate in your local government, to your state government, that this is what you are facing. I have someone that went to hospital for checkup. Then he went to private. I said, go to private. He went to private. In the private, I paid 250,000. I sent to, and they keep on detecting everything, and nothing is wrong. But they just want to make money. Nobody is checking. And when they prescribe for you in the private, they won't allow you to go and buy the medicine outside. They say they have to sell it for you. If you want to go outside, they take the prescription from you. So nobody to supervise them. Then general hospital, you have to pay for what? Pay for this, pay for that. I send a lot of money home for that. That's why I want people to say, careful of what to eat and how you eat. In order to avoid any sickness, don't overstress yourself. Because there is no enough supervision and everybody is just after their own. And there are a lot of quack ones that are not genuine everywhere. You understand? I'm praying that the medical issue in Nigeria, hospital issue, should be like the one of UK, where you can walk to the hospital, you get your treatment, They give you, in the hospital, they can give you prescription and give you the medication. It's free. You go home. You understand? But we will soon get to that level. I believe that if we are very honest and truthful to ourselves, and pity ourselves, like the other caller said, that he has to pay 5,000 to see doctor, even though 5,000 is small amount to see doctor. But that is big amount to some people. You see, it should be free for you to see a doctor. And then they give you a prescription, you go and get the prescription at a cheaper rate. We will get to that level, but they must demonstrate to get there. My prayer is that all those our officers in position, they should have the fear of God in them. God bless Nigeria.
Ade, as always, thank you for your hopeful perspective on this one. I appreciate you for calling, and do have a lovely day ahead. That is it. There are several systems for several societies that continues to work, even though it is imperfect, wherever that system may be. But the reality is that most Nigerians are not on the coverage of the NHIS, and the services leaves much to be desired. Let's speak to our next caller. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Good morning. Welcome to the program. Who is on the line and where are you calling from?
Yeah, Abdullahi Mohammed Abubakar, calling from Makodi, Benue State Basket of the Nation.
Abdullahi, how is Makodi this morning?
Makodi is warm, very sweet and quiet.
Good to hear that. Go ahead, please.
Yeah. You see, I'm with my brother and my sister, the first and second caller. The issue of the government hospital, anytime you go, the most painful thing, you will not see doctor in time. You stay with your patient for a very long time after you pay for the card, and there will be no special treatment for you. At the end, they will direct you to their own private hospital where they open, which is very painful. You need to be treated free in the medical center or the teaching hospital that you have in your state. But you see the government will elevate the whole hospital to the highest grade. But for them to take care of the poor man, that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
So you see, at the end, they keep on giving tests. Only test will cost no less than 50,000 naira, only test. At the end of the time again, they will write drugs and they will not ask you to go outside and buy. You must buy it in their own hospital. So you see, that kind of life for we the common man. The last thing that government should do for the poor man is to give him medical treatment free. But I'm assuring you, even though in our teaching hospital in Makodi now, when you go, even needle and syringe you must buy. No one is free. So please, I'm calling for the government. It's not only government of Benue State. I'm calling to the whole, the federal. Please, they should do something about it. It's not everybody that have access to NHIS. The little one that has access to NHIS, they will go and they will be treated. But we that we don't have access, we have no register with the NHIS. Anything you are buying, you must pay.
Yeah.
So please, I'm very happy with the trust TV. They follow everything ahead to see that the foreman has the life staying in the country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Abdullahi, for that invaluable take. And I couldn't help but, just agree with you on all the points that you've raised regarding the poor coverage, regarding the expensive nature of the services, and even the kind of, bizarre operational procedures that we have around what people are required. And also, I think at the heart of your assessment is the fact that there's a dearth of professionals. Even though the government would like us to believe that we have enough doctors, it does look like, our healthcare professionals are less than enough to meet the growing demands in the country. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Can you hear me?
Good morning. Who is on the line and where are you calling from?
Zebulon Ade from Jalingo, Taraba State.
Okay, go ahead, please.
Yes, my own contribution. What I want to inquire is that about the health issues in respect to this country. In FM to Jalingo here, when you go to access treatment at FM to Jalingo here, the doctor will check you. When doctor is done checking you, you go to pharmacy. Sometimes they will tell you even paracetamol not do.
Sometimes, previous weeks back, then they wrote some tests for us. We went to lab, and they were telling us that no reagent. So they were referring us that we should go outside. We should go to private sector. So I don't know. Is it that the government is not funding the facilities, or is it those that they are responsible to place things in order? They are siphoning it. So that's why I said, even the health insurance that they said, when you are attached, when you are into the beneficiaries, at least you're supposed to have some relief. But now you go to the health insurance, the doctor will check you. When you go to the pharmacy, they will say no drug. Common paracetamol, they will say they will refer you outside again. So what is happening to our health sector doesn't mean that the health insurance itself is just a mere mouth talking, nothing there in the store. So it is very, very bad. When you go to hospital, you come back, you'll be frustrated. You see many lines with one doctor only attending to thousands of patients. When you go to pharmacy, no drugs again.
Right.
They will refer you to go and buy outside. They will refer you when you go to lab. Going to lab, they will say no electrolyte, no reagent. Then they will refer you to out lab to go and assess your health.
Right.
Out again.
Yeah.
So where are we now? So that's why I said let me chip in, so that government, they should do something, because even the health insurance that they are talking about, to me, it's a scam. Because nothing there in that store.
Okay.
Nothing there in that store.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that contribution of yours. The Federal Medical Center, Jalingo, obviously isn't supposed to be experiencing that type of disruption in terms of consumables, right? But here's what I believe is going to paint a clear picture as to why we're witnessing these sort of disruptions in terms of medical supplies and so on and so forth. In the 2025 budget, for instance, the entire budget for healthcare is around 514 billion naira. That sounds like a lot of money, but if you consider Nigeria, the size, the number, that is quite paltry. But if you break it down further, you realize that the allocation covers 282.65 billion now for basic healthcare provision, and then 231.7 billion now for Gavi and routine immunization. So it's safe to say this explains the gross underfunding that pushes many Nigerians to experience these sort of less than satisfactory services across even tertiary institutions like the federal medical centers. I mean, the federal government just took over the general hospital in Gombe, turning it into a federal medical center. But what gain do we experience after that takeover? Because if the services are this poor, why turn it into a federal medical center? Because you cannot afford to adequately equip it or supply it with the necessary consumables. Let's speak to our next caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Abdullahi.
Good morning, Shamaki. Is it Shetima? I beg your pardon.
Shetima Yakudima, calling from Maiduguri.
Shetima, I beg your pardon. You sound a lot like Shamaki. So thank you so much for joining us as always. I appreciate you for calling. How is Maiduguri this morning?
Maiduguri is cool, Maiduguri is bright, Maiduguri is shining. We thank God.
We're talking about medical costs, Shetima. What do you have to say about this one?
Honestly speaking, Abdullahi, cost of medication is beyond just a common man comment. Because cost of medication has become something else in this country. We don't know, how can you run a hospital at a profit making? Government, if we say government, there are certain things that government use to provide for their citizens, for their citizens. It's not for them to make money out of it. Health is one of them. Because you see, if a country like Niger will give an aged person free medication, why will stop Nigeria not to do? Look at what we have. Everyone knows that this country is a rich country. But the richness is just cycling within the small family, and the rest of the family were in object poverty. Abdullahi, I will tell you, honestly speaking, I want Nigerians to be praying for person not to fail sick. And we know the economic is challenging, it's not friendly. But what you will try to do is you should try and eat a very good food so that you remain healthy. Because they say, pay the cook, but don't pay the doctor. And because if you go to hospital today, you go to hospital to look for a health, and you will become ill. You will become ill. You will end up being being provoked, and because the services that you go to get, you cannot get it, and your money will be collected. Look at what my brother was saying: 5,000 naira just for you to see a doctor, just to see a doctor. Not the place of the price of the drugs that you will buy. Just to see a doctor, 5,000. And if you check it very well, maybe it's a government hospital. But if you go to the private hospital, you can imagine how much they will charge you. This is government hospital. You can imagine. So what I am trying to say here is because medication is beyond the reach of before Nigeria. And Abdullahi, you can remember this call time is selling 20 naira before. Now, do you know how much call time is cost? Right. It's 500 naira. This small tablet, four tablets, 500 naira. You can imagine. Why are we heading to? People that do not fear God. What they are after us is just for them to make money. And I used to say all the time, this money, no matter how much you accumulate, you will leave it here. Believe me, whether you like it or not, if you have an expensive barrier, 10,000 naira is just enough for you to buy that white clothes, to bury you with it. Why Nigerians are disturbing themselves? You subject your brothers into unnecessary difficulties just for you to be rich. Just for you to be rich. You can imagine. We have to fear God. Yeah. We have to fear God, and we have to be just our brothers' keepers. I am praying for the hospital owners, the private hospital owners, and the pharmacists, and the actors that they are operating the government hospital. They fear God. May Allah touch their heart and to realize what they are doing is wrong. Right. That's my text. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Shatima. I appreciate you for calling and for joining the conversation. Let's quickly take a look at our WhatsApp platform, because you can also send your contributions via WhatsApp. What are the people saying regarding this all-important conversation? The cost of medication in this country, Nigeria, to say the least, terribly scandalous, according to Nandi Bete from Cross River in Ogoja. He says most citizens resort to traditional healers because the charges in hospitals and even health centers in villages are outrageous. Yet, this is in a country where members of the ruling class fly abroad at public expense to treat common colds and headache. How do we get out of this mess? A very important question and wonderful take there. I wish I have the answer, but I don't. But it's quite evident why we are where we are today. The less than stellar performance of our political leaders successively over the past few decades has put us in this particular quagmire where the economy is in such a bad shape that medical consumables are unaffordable. Let's take a look at the next comment on WhatsApp and understand what this contributor has to say. Good morning. You could believe that I took my daughter to General Hospital 3 weeks ago. After medical tests, they discovered that it is measles. They gave her 2 drips and injections with some drugs. I was billed 20,000 naira, of which I rejected. I don't know the difference between private and government hospitals. Masses are facing a lot. No free medication. God day, he says. God has always been there. No name attributed to that comment. We can understand it's yet another frustrated and dissatisfied Nigerian giving his 2 cents or her 2 cents on this all-important topic. And we always talk about how health is wealth, right? If people cannot guarantee their well-being through the adequate and sufficient, efficient, healthcare services, how can we have a nation that prospers economically, socially, politically, or in any other aspect of our endeavor? Because the healthcare services, I mean, it's quite surprising that people are saying there's not much difference in terms of the cost between private and public healthcare services. Let's take a look at the next comment, shall we? Another contributor has joined the conversation, and this one says, good morning. Thanks for the topic. High cost of medication in the country. The NAFTA confiscated over 25 trucks of fake drugs in Lagos, Anambra, and Aba, even in Kano. My concern is that we buy killer drugs at a very expensive rate. The federal and state governments should, as a matter of urgency, maintain, or rather begin to import drugs pending, I think is what he's trying to say, pending when the country is able to produce drugs. This will go a long way in bringing down the cost of medication and related medical issues. I don't see any sense when contractors supply fake drugs. Ade said the healthcare is free in the UK. It is not correct. You pay through your employer, the NHS. No free treatment in the UK, only for children and the elderly. We have a long way to go. Mr. Shoembo Tolani from Ogun State. Yes, I wanted to actually, retort a little bit, but then again, we don't want to make a habit of going back and forth with our callers. But I guess what Ade is saying, and I think he might have misspoke a little bit when he talks about the free medical services. We do speak to a lot of people in the UK. They also have this issue with how long it takes for you to see a GP, for instance, right? When you need some sort of medical attention, especially if it's not an emergency. That is one of those issues that they continue to face with. But I do take your point, Tolani. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. Another comment from our WhatsApp platform is on the screen. Let's take a look at this comment. This one says, good morning. Infant hospital is hell here. My senior brother was diagnosed with malaria and typhoid. I spent almost 270,000 naira for 1 week. Yeah, understandable. I was just talking about my own daughter. 382,000 for actually spending 3 days in hospital trying to treat an infection. And that is the reality of most Nigerians. Someone is just also talking about the same situation. And these are monies that Nigerians cannot afford. The minimum wages are 70,000 and not many governments are actually paying it. Right? And beyond that, what about other expenditures that people have to deal with? What about cost of transportation? What about food? What about education? What about general welfare? We talk about rent astronomically going up across the country, mind you. It's not just an Abuja or Lagos thing. Everywhere else, rent is going up. And these are bills that Nigerians have to deal with. And that explains why self-medication or even going to the unorthodox, unchecked, unregulated spaces in search of a solution continues to go up. And is the government concerned? Maybe to a certain degree, but the solution is less than satisfactory if you ask most Nigerians who have had their say on this one. So we keep our eye on this development as we continue to monitor what is the experience, the lived experience of most Nigerians when it comes to their welfare and their well-being. Thank you all for joining the conversation. Thank you for the calls. Thank you for the messages via WhatsApp. If you tried rather unsuccessfully, we'll do this again some other time in the next episode on Daybreak.